So I first learned about you through a book called A Deaf Dog Joins the Family. This is a book that Dr. Amy Learn, who is one of my residents now as a boarded behaviorist, who you know, right? She gave me that book. She gifted it to me. So in
Oh,
my experience, there are not a lot of good resources just for training and living with deaf dogs. And so, people I think either don't train their deaf dog or they find methods that I would prefer they not use, like shock collars. So, what are kind
mhm.
of three things that you would want a family who adopts a deaf dog or a family whose dog has just gone deaf because of illness or old age? What do you want them to know about training?
Yep. So I actually wrote that book because I found the same thing, that there weren't a lot of good resources out there. And then subsequently, I wrote a course, which is even more comprehensive, just to really have great resources to point people in the right direction. But the very first thing that I think is important is to reinforce check-ins, and that's an easy thing for folks to begin with, because if the deaf dog is not orienting to you, then it's difficult to move forward with communication. And then for people to tidy up mechanics, I always say in general, not only deaf dogs, but any dog is really good at reading the room. So they're observing and absorbing all of those environmental and visual cues. So making sure that our mechanics are really streamlined and effective so that we're communicating as well as we can be. And then to realize that all interactions are training. So for one, I think it makes the humans, the loop end of the leash, which is really who we're training and teaching, more aware of our body language, but also to recognize that, training is not just this thing that we do on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, that it's happening with every interaction that we have with our dogs. So we can either be moving in the direction that we want, or having things being reinforced that we don't necessarily want to see repeated. And so recognizing these 3 points to start, I think, is a good place to begin.